Halifax have been to one final this year, of course. We've seen them here on Premier Sport. There's our referee tonight, Jamie Lee. Can they make another? Can they make it this time a grand final that they reach? I think a lot of people in the game are hoping for a Halifax-Featherstone rematch, aren't they? But there'll be Sheffield supporters and Batley supporters, and Featherstone and Halifax and Keighley. They'll say, well, not necessarily. Here we go, game about to get underway here. It's Keighley to start us all off. Danny Jones with a big left boot sends it flying downfield. Halifax will get first touch of the ball and a first chance to bring it driving back in by Keighley, who's going to be tackled just short of that 20-metre line. I hesitate to bring in my two guests early in the commentary because the pizzas arrived late and they've been stuffing their faces ever since. But I think Dave Woods is clear here. What are we expecting here tonight, David Woods?
I think, like Brian said, Keighley need a good start. They've got some quality players there. They need a good start. Halifax have got a lot of players that they can draw penalties out of if they play quick on them and get some real quick go forward and try and draw those penalties. And, you know, if they do that, they can be in for a real interesting night.
Well, they've certainly got plenty of class in their side, haven't they, Keighley? They've certainly got the ability in their side to make a tough night here for Halifax, but likewise plenty of pedigree in that Halifax team as well. Richie Barnett with a little shuffling run from that right-hand side as Keighley look to make a bit of ground in these early stages. Good atmosphere here at the Shea Stadium. Not always the home of Halifax, of course. Traditional supporters will remember the good old Thrum Hall days. I mean, quite a few will be happy to see the back of Thrum Hall all those years ago. Here comes another drive forward, this time by Andy Schickel, the former Halifax player, who's put down on the 5th. 25 yards out. Sam Hobbs with a kick, has managed to direct it through, but shuffling back into position. Ryan Fieldhouse and Halifax starting possession here. Brian Noble.
I think Keighley a little bit conservative in their early plays there. The coach made a point of trying to keep hold of the ball, and there were a couple of opportunities to offload there which they chose not to take. And Halifax, we've seen, it's a familiar lineup from Halifax. They've got a pretty impressive backline, so I don't think we'll see them change too much. They'll work down the side and they'll look for a spread play through Hanforth and Thackeray. And I think early on it's always, and will never change, it's about the battle of these blokes here, the big fellas, who can establish some territory early in the game.
And those who don't watch Halifax on a regular basis might be surprised that Penkovic starts on the bench tonight. Ashall and operating at dummy half, although it was Anthony Thackeray on that occasion. But that's something we saw in the grand final. We've seen one in the Northern Rail final. We've seen it once or twice. He comes on with some effect when he does come on, doesn't he?
He does, and you know, with their schedule as well, having the tough games leading up into the game, they are battle hardened, but that does take its toll on your playing staff. So you may be thinking an element of conservation there, you know, so they can keep them fresh. I think it's a pretty impressive bench for Halifax if they came off, but there's not like a shortage of strike on the Keighley bench if you look there as well, so they may make the difference.
It's a fantastic Keighley bench, isn't it? Jermaine Ray, Paul March with all his experience, Jody Sharif and Michael Korkidis, who certainly has an impact most of the time when he comes on. Here comes Patterson. That was the 5th. Here comes the 6th. Heaton operating out from dummy half. He'll have to get on with it because it is the last tackle, and Hobbs poking a little kick through. I'm not sure that was a planned final play, but it's not ended up too bad because Halifax start from there, only 5 metres away from their own line.
Keighley are winning the territory battle, and that's through their conservative run-up carries. There's no push on the ball carry. They're just saying, right, make as many metres as you can and leave the kicking game to Sam Hobbs. And we've seen a couple of pop-gun kicks, if that's the right expression, from young Hanforth at the moment. So they need to kick a whole lot better than they are now, Halifax.
Forward it's taken by Ambler, who's put down 10 metres short of that halfway line. A little kick from dummy half always gives them an extra yard or two. I'm not sure if it was a 40-20 this. It's certainly, if it bounces out, and it only just does bounce out, gone beyond the 20. Now, was it a 40-20? No, it wasn't. He was beyond the 40-metre line when he kicked it. Head and feet goes Keighley's way.
Yeah, it's a smart kick. It's their best kick of the evening, and they've tried to get 3 away now. So a little tactic of kicking from dummy half. Yes, he just stepped out of the 40-metre area there. It's a fabulous kick because Barnett's fielded the previous 2 on the full and made good territory for Keighley.
Good refereeing by Jamie Lee. Had that spotted absolutely spot on, so no point wasting time going to the video ref. Though it's never a waste of time to hear from Ian Smith. I'm sure we will at some point through the evening here tonight, as Keighley again look to bring it away. They've certainly had plenty of possession, Dave Woods, in these early stages, Keith.
Yeah, they have. You know, they're just going through the motions at the moment, just getting themselves into the game. And you know, I remember we watched them down at Keighley against, you know, one of the other big sides in Featherston, and they really struggled in that early part of the game. They tried to play too expansive, going wide early. They've completely changed here, and they're handling the first few minutes pretty well.
Feathers kick again out from dummy half, having taken a stride or two, taken on by Ryan Fieldhouse.
A few ex-Halifax players in this Keighley starting lineup. You know, Danny Jones was here last year and been there for a couple of years, and Neil Cherryholm,
yeah.
You know, and Andy Schickel previously, so they'll feel quite at home here.
And you'd have been involved with them, wouldn't you? Because you had a spell here, coaching for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a great blast. Really well committed. That fella's in charge now, and done a pretty good job himself.
Halifax looking to move it wide here if they can, but a step back on the inside by Thackeray. And his way is going to be blocked. So nice little pass away for Callum Casey to take in another stride or two, but here comes the sixth. So Thackeray with a kick over the top. It's going to be bouncing into no man's land. It's always dangerous when it does that. Gavin Duffy has to get back and does get back, and he's rounded up and put down only a yard away. That's all from that line.
I'm a huge believer. He could have caught that. I firmly believe he could have caught that and been 20 more metres further down the field. When you let the ball bounce, first of all, you don't know where it's going to go. Now, he was pretty confident about cleaning that up, but he made himself a tough carry the next time round for the person who was carrying the ball out of there.
So still some tough yards to do for the Keighley Cougars. Starting a set again from deep inside their own half, and just looking for some big carries here from their big men if they can. But already they got up to the fifth from that latest effort by Cherryholm, the kick downfield.
Well, we watched Keighley against Lee not too many weeks ago when they were pointless, and I was disappointed with Sam Hobbs that night. I think he's a really, really dangerous player, and I think for Keighley to have some sex tonight, he's got to take the line off. He just can't be there to organise. Watson is a huge part of the game, and wait for his particular kick. I think he's got to run at this Halifax opposition.
Here comes Azu again. He could see himself winding himself up there, couldn't you, Michaeli Azu? A former Hawkinson Rovers man, the Papua New Guinean international, back to the middle. It's a surging patch that is helped on towards Gannon.
Move! And out! Go.
On by Ambler. Five gone, but Barakov, he was at Bradford once upon a time, wasn't he?
Good player, Glenn. Very good player.
Was he your understudy? Good kick, and it's going to be caught! Oh, and it's dropped. Rob Warranty, what a chance that was.
Well, that's 4 points gone begging, surely.
Was this as simple as it looked?
Yeah, I thought so.
Because he hadn't tapped it to his foot yet.
How much of a chance was that? We'll have a look at that again in a minute, but... Here we go. This is the kick.
Up it goes.
Wallace is the man underneath it.
Catch it.
It was as simple as it looked, wasn't it?
He misjudged it slightly. If he'd have caught it, he was in, wasn't he?
Just a little bit of a drift and swerve maybe at the last minute that took it away from him. So Keighley with a little bit of a let-off of a chance to plunder their way back inside their opponent's half here. Pick up by Feather. It's been one of the biggest dummy halves around. Left it goes. Demetriou involved, and a little bit of a surge by him, and a pass back on the inside, and Moss will score. And put down to that to the coach, Jason Demetriou, with a carry into the line, had them all guessing, and the inside ball for the support that was good, and it is Keighley Cougars who are up and running.
I'll put this down to the experience of Jason Demetriou. Halifax players don't number up properly. He decides to take the ball on. I think it's Craig Moss backing up on the inside. There it is, show and go, goes himself. Poor effort from Ben Heaton. Steps inside, and Moss, like any good fullback, backing up on the inside. He should be cleaned up there. Ben Heaton's missing. Craig Moss on the inside, and Fieldhouse overreads the situation, and he's in for a good score. Just the start that Keighley wanted to make this game difficult.
Well, that's put the cat amongst the pigeons.
Yeah, it certainly has. Look, you know, I was just going to say in the commentary then, Keighley really need to start getting some push-up off the ball, and you know, if they do that, and they play second phase very well. They've got big Schickel that can offload in contact, and Rawlings and Cherryholm that can do the same, and they need some push off the ball, because Sam Obbs, he's always around that ball, and with his pace he'll create some damage. And you know, they did that with Jason Dimitru there. They pushed up, and the defensive line for Halifax didn't know what to do and who to take. Some very poor efforts in contact, and a good start to Keighley.
Wonderful play by Dimitri. Just a couple of shrugs and then the inside ball. A conversion out, as you saw, by Lawton. So 6-0. Keighley lead, and that's put the cat amongst the pigeons very much.
Well, it's a good job he carried the ball into the line, because the two people outside him were in front of him. It would have been a forward pass. They were expecting the kick from him. Everybody was. I think the Halifax players were expecting a kick, and when he decided to take off, it created some opportunities because he had people in the frame.
Sure, Carl Harrison will be still a little bit anxious with that early score against his side, but the coach on the field, Jason Dimitri, Glenn Barraclough, who we saw, by the way, is the coach on the bench for Keighley, of course. He's the man who offers the instructions from there, while the main man is out on the paddock. As the main man who's instrumental in this Keighley lead, 6 points to 0, and just about 10.5 minutes of this first half played. Remember, sudden death football here tonight if you're just joining us. Whoever loses this, their season is over. Whoever wins, another step closer to a potential grand final. But it's Keighley who have the advantage at the moment. Here's Fieldhouse.
I know it sounds strange, Dave, and a strange thing to say, but somebody for Halifax needs to get angry. I think they're relying on their structure and somebody else will carry the ball here. Somebody needs to go in there with a view to scattering a few pigeons and doing something for the team early, just to get them into the game. I just got this feeling that there might be the element of complacency about them.
Well, they have the three props, don't they? Ambler, Azu, and Gannon, rather, on the field at the moment. So they've certainly got the firepower up front. Ambler taking it in. Back it comes here to Thackeray, who drops a little ball back on the inside, and Callum Casey almost finding a hole in that Keighley defence. It's collected by Ashall, left it goes, little chip over the top by Thackeray. The chase is on. Richie Barnett has it, but he's going to be caught, snared inside his own in-goal area, carried in there himself, so a drop out underneath the sticks.
That's better from Halifax. A couple of decent carries. I think the tries woken them up, given that urgency that probably was talking about.
I suppose the ideal character to shake things up would be Sam Barlow, but a little too early to make that interchange at this stage.
I think it's just. I think both teams have gone into it with the view to looking after the ball.
Here's Casey. So 5 tackles from here for Halifax. A real opportunity maybe for them to strike here. Camping in their opponent's half. Gannon spinning away from a couple, finding 2 more. Taking him up top, 1 down below. Ashall out from dummy half. Little scamper to his left. They try to feed it quickly. Barnett was up there. Retty falls on it, but the referee, Jamie Lee, decides that Barnett played at that. So it will be another set of 6 here for Halifax. A repeat set for Keighley to defend on their own line. Casey's the man on the ground. Here's Ashall running it across. Driven in by Ambler. Sturdy effort by him, but he's going to be held up. Ashall now from dummy half again, spinning it across. Little step back by Handforth. No way through for the Irish international, so Ashall stands and waits. The former St Helens youngster, right it goes again into the hands of Fieldhouse, but a Keighley line that has moved up well, right in his face. The minute he got that ball, they're not making much of an impact here, are they, in the opening 4 tackles of this particular set? Maybe now. Handforth back again. Gannon steps into the gap and round the fullback. Who says he's a prop in sheep's clothing? That was a footwork of a halfback, wasn't it? Yeah. Jim Gannon over. A defensive lapse, and Halifax have their names on the score sheet here.
Yeah, Handforth picks Gannon out in a hole here, but somebody's jumped out the line there and couldn't quite see who it was, the Keighley defender, but he's got it woefully wrong. Here we go. I think it's
Feather.
Yeah, Rawlings didn't do too good here either, so the hooker and Rawlings, the back row, we've kind of forgotten about Jim Gannon, who was going to carry the ball between them. They made a pull. He's gone straight through the 2 of them. So he'll never score an easier try, and he's probably scored a few in his time.
You know, I love it. I love it having the coaches, the two coaches up here on the commentary position, because I get excited when a player dances his way over. Look round at you two, and you've both got a look of disgust on your face at the defence that let him through, Dave Woods.
I was shaking my head because you could see it straight away. As soon as Hanford took the ball to the line, he threw the wide pass. There was nothing on. Feather shot out of the line, and like Brian said, Rawlings went across to take the man on the outside. No one looked at Big Gannon going straight through, you know, and there was obviously no communication there whatsoever. You don't need to shoot out of the line. You just need to keep your line, keep your space, keep your shape, and you know, you'll make the tackles. But they didn't do it there, and Halifax are straight back in the game.
Steve Taylor was added the 2, so 6-6 the score. 15 minutes played. We're back at parity again.
And that's a worry, Dave, about when you haven't played intense football for 4 weeks. You can't just flick a switch, and that's why I've still favoured Halifax with their battle hard, and they may be a bit flat because they played at the weekend and played some tough games.
Your ability to analyse with a mouthful of pizza is fantastic. A little piece of pizza sitting there tantalising you throughout the first half, and you couldn't resist, could you? You had to take a bite. Oh, here come Halifax again now, flying down this left-hand side. Wonderful break made by Casey, puts it back for Retty. Retty tries to stand up Barnett. There's cover there, but he gets it away, and Fieldhouse is dragged down. But they've got the numbers here. They want to quick play the ball. They want it quick. Thackeray throwing it back to the middle. Right along the line it goes, where they may have the numbers here. Hanford puts it back on the side, on the outside. But Heaton's caught by that retreating Keighley defence, who did ever so well to get themselves back.
Scrambled really well, haven't they? Can they maintain it for another three plays?
Thackeray puts it back on the inside for Ambler to have a go this time. Puts his head down and tries to force his way through, not getting there. So here comes Ashall now. Dummies left, puts it right. Gannon again, trying to get the offload, has got the offload. Little untidy, picked up by Ashall. Hanford to Thackeray, and a little kick by Thackeray towards this left-hand corner. Retty's chasing it. Barnett's caught it, slips, and he's grounded it as he slipped. So it'll be another set of 6, another drop out underneath the sticks, and this pressure is mounting here.
Certainly is, and I don't think the Reddy and the men on the outside of Thackeray expected that kick then. They still got the result. I don't know if I'm in favour of that, you know, when the player catches the ball and slips, that they immediately call it grounded, you know, but that's what's happened there, and they're going to get another set of 6, but some great play from the Halifax side to run, you know, 80 metres earlier on, and, you know, that's what Halifax can do to you.
Keighley, to be fair, looked beat there, didn't they? They looked as though the try was inevitable, but they did at least get the numbers back behind the ball to keep Halifax out. But is it only a temporary measure? Because here they come again.
I agree with Dave on that one as well. I think it's a tough call on Barnett. Every right to get up and try and clear that out of his goal.
There's Ashall and forth, back on the inside again for Gannon. The Australian, but he's been over here for an awful long time now, hasn't he? First arrived at Halifax in 1999. Been about since, but back at his original club. Here's Keighley. It's a prop forwards paradise tonight. They're the one who are making a little bit of mincemeat of this Keighley defence. Keighley Azur, the second across the line. And I daren't look at Messrs Woods and Noble, because I want to milk that moment of a wonderful score, a wonderful finish by Keighley Azur.
Yeah, and it's great footwork, but what's Andy Schickle doing? Goodness gracious me. Where the threat, I suppose what we're frustrated about is the threat's where the ball is. And they're trying to plan for something on the outside, and they forgot about the 2 big blokes in the middle. I mean, they're not hard to miss. They're 16 stone. They're big blokes. They're going to carry the ball, and if they're doing that, you've got to get in front of them. And I think they're just, at the moment, reading a player too far. It's a play too far. They're going for a play on the fringe that they probably planned for in practice and forgotten about the big blokes in the middle. Where the threat is where the ball is. So get the ball carrier first. And great footwork from Azur, you're right there.
Well, the coach is on there, isn't he? Jason Amitri, and he seems to be giving them that message. Look, we need to get this right, fellas.
Well, they've got to get it right. Otherwise, that, you know, it could be season over in the first 40 minutes. And you know what I liked about that there was Feather was yelling and screaming and blaming everyone, and yet he was the one that missed the first one. But you know, Brian's right. But what's Schickel doing out that wide? He shouldn't have been out that wide. And that comes back to the earlier contacts. The contacts weren't strong contacts, so they weren't playing. They were allowing Halifax to play the ball too quick, so they weren't getting back into position, and that's why they got Schickel caught out wide.
Well, it's been wave upon wave of Halifax, hasn't it, for the last 7 or 8 minutes or so.
The minute I called them lazy and a bit complacent, they've sparked up, haven't they? Great short side play from Callum Casey, and they made the break for Retty.
Here comes Luke Ambler, hoping to get his name on the score sheet tonight. Now that Jim Gannon and Keighley have shown him the way. Michael Korkidas is on as well, and he's involved there in that tackle, which has seen the ball spilled, and a knock-on against Halifax has given Keighley head of feed. What a bonus this is for the Keighley Cougars.
It gives them the field position to launch any kind of scrum play that they've got, get a few defenders out of the way in the pack there. So this is a great tackle from Korkidas, and what a made to make it. Actually, it's
so a chance, maybe. Danny Lawton taking them on, held down by Patterson. One of 2 defenders across there, but Keighley with 5 tackles to hammer this line now. Here comes the ball back to Jones, and then a surge by Pursglove, who's going to be held up, but only about 5 yards away. Keighley have an opportunity. Korkidas is up there, but he's missed out. Back it comes again. Obbs with the ball in his hands. Up into the line comes Moss. Across it goes. They're looking for a way through if they can. Halifax scrambling and holding on and making sure there is no way through. 20 minutes played very nearly. But it's a good moment here for the Keighley Cougars. In it's taken by Schickel. Andy Schickel still going, driving hard. And it's taken 3 of them to eventually hold him up and put him down. It's done a bit of time in the tackle as the defence rights itself again, but another wave of Keighley attack. A little step back on the inside again. Halifax hanging on. 5 gone. And they want a penalty here, but they're not going to get it. Jason Dimitriou has knocked on, according to the referee, and then he said something out of turn. And so the scrum head and feed turns into a penalty for Halifax. So on the day he's been fined for abusing an official as well, Jason Dimitriou. So,
well, let's have a look. Has he got a problem? Has he got... Well, he's claiming that Ambler knocked the ball out of his hand as he was getting up, but he deserves to carry the ball a whole lot stronger than that and look after the ball a whole lot stronger than that. So you can see where the referee's called the knock-on. And what he didn't need was to compound that knock-on by questioning the referee's birthright.
Penalty the other way, Dave Woods, would have been very harsh, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I think he's got a responsibility to be, you know, have a good grip on that football and play the ball. You know, although he wants to play it quick, he needs to play it with some control.
So Halifax having come through that little moment of concern, find themselves back on the front foot, and Ashall putting them there from dummy half. It's Fieldhouse who's joining in from fullback. 4 tackles gone, still 2 to come, 40 metres away, that's all. Taken on by Handful, trying to pop it back on the inside. Offside given here against the defenders.
Well, unfortunately, Jason Dimitriou's self-fulfilling prophecy in his interview beforehand is coming to light, and he was the orchestrated the first penalty, now another one, and playoff football, that's just too tough.
So here's Ashall, stands and waits as Gannon climbs to his feet again, and Ashall putting it out, and look at the urgency and the energy that Halifax have here now. Keighley doing well to hold them out. Back it comes to Handforth, and taken on by Ambler, but he's dropped it clean, no complaints. Although there seems to be a problem. I think it's Handforth who stayed down in back play. He's back up on his feet now, but he looks a bit groggy. There you can see him just running away. He should be okay. And it's a high tackle that's given Keighley a penalty.
Well, we've seen 3 quick-fire penalties, 2 to Halifax, and a good drop, if ever there was a good drop there for Keighley, because they were looking a little bit tired on their own line there, and now there's not only a drop and error from Halifax, but a penalty which really relieves them.
Here comes Korkidas. To look at him, you wouldn't think that he was such a gentle creature off the field, would you, Michael Korkidas?
He doesn't tackle himself, does he?
He's involved, him and Brendan Rawlins, the second rower tonight, both involved in a charity for kids. They're both two really big-hearted blokes, but got a rugby league shirt on them, and there's no nonsense whatsoever. Feather, little dummy by here, using the runners to his side as a foil. Has made it to within 20 metres, so a chance here for Keighley to prosper again, maybe. The ball was offered to Obbs, but it went loose. Was there a Halifax touch there? Yes, there was. So it's another set of 6. Pick up by Feather again from dummy half. That's the first. Ball stolen. Is it? What's the referee giving here? Yes. Ball steal. Penalty for Keighley. So here comes another. What a position they find themselves in.
Ready?
Just weighing up their options. Jody Sharif, another is on from the interchange bench. What a waste. What a waste. Well, he knows, doesn't he? That's an opportunity that's just gone a-begging.
That's a coach killer. We talk about them.
You ran into him.
He's got to look after the ball there. He's only just coming to the field.
It was a steal.
That was the penalty. That was a fair call. Yeah, he took it off him. 2-0.
Jody Sharif runs into James Feather and Dave Woods. The coach is left with his head in his hands.
Look, you know, like Brian said, when you bring a bloke off the bench, you want him to come on and you want him to make an impact, and you want him to do better than the players that have been on there or as equal. And you know, to come up with an error your first touch like that, tackle one, 3 metres off the line, it's unforgivable.
Well, if they had got something from that, that really would have set things up. As it is, it's not badly poised at the moment, is it? It's a bit end-to-end at times, but Halifax, you feel, just with a whip hand at the moment.
Sam Barlow's on the field, and we've seen them twice. He's carried the ball, he's used his footwork to gain some metres and offloaded the second time. So things generally start happening when he's on or near the ball.
Little chip by Ashall. It's going to be taken by Craig Moss. But a good chase from the Halifax men, but I'm not sure that he's not going to make too many yards before he's put to ground 10 metres from his own line.
Well, if you're Jody Sharif now, you need to really give your team a lift, because you've been, as it stands at the moment, he's been Halifax's best player in the last 2 minutes with the drop on play. Well, that's smart play from Barnett, I think it is. Yeah. Come on. They need to help each other, push for each other. It's a little bit too one-up at the moment for Keighley.
Korkidas to his feet. This is one of those who's leaving at the end of this season, potentially at the end of this game. Keighley fans will be hoping that's not the case, that he's going to stick around for at least another couple of weeks because his side need him. Here comes Jason Demetriou. He's back to Australia. Paul March at dummy half, who will be in charge next season as coach, taking it from the current incumbent. Little chip that takes an awkward bounce, and Sam Obbs, it's not often in his career he came close to making a high tackle, but that was very nearly one of them. Little leap off the ground to make that tackle, but it was all fair and square in the end.
Fieldhouse did well there because he was under pressure from Obbs, and that's probably the trademark little kick that Sam Obbs, kicking for himself, rushing through that quick kind of play. Still like to see him run with the ball a bit more.
Well, it's another penalty. Korkidas is complaining that he was being hung on to by the Halifax player, and all that's earned him is another 10 metres. I think Korkidas is still having a word or two here. So Jamie Lee is stopping the clock, and he'll pull out his coach, is he?
All right. Regardless whether you like,
he's got the captain. I think Danny Jones is the captain. I think although Jason's on the field, I think he gives the captain his seat to someone else.
You might force my on. Please tell your team.
Good spot.
Bit of a strange move there with them taking Feather off and bringing Paul March on into hooker. They haven't played him in the halves. They've put him on into hooker, and they've got a very good one in Jermaine Ray, who usually creates some damage when he comes on at hooker. So interesting little play there for him.
Just there, Michael, wait.
It's Barlow who's put down. Ashall at dummy half, taken on by Ambler. Pushes away a couple of attempted tackles, takes it in again. Might have got one around the chops, but he's going to take that manfully and get back to his feet. And here comes Ashall again, back to the middle once more. Some hard work being put in by Callum Casey here tonight. Ian in again, really honest stuff from him. Ashall, this now is Handforth, looking to create the numbers on that right-hand side. It comes back with Fieldhouse, the fullback. And step between two. looking for a miracle ball away. In the end, he kept a hold of it. Quickly up there is Hanforth. Right, they go again. It's driven on, I think, by Tony Tonks towards that right-hand side in the murky corners. Little kick over the top. Here comes the chase right between the two. Steve Tyra appears from nowhere and scores Halifax's third try of the night. He knew it was coming and he got himself the position that counted. There were two Keighley men there, but they didn't have a chance by the time the ball came down because he judged that flight to perfection. Good try.
Well, I think it's Hanforth with he puts it really on the spot in between the two defenders, and Steve Tyra's always got the advantage with the attack there because he can time his run to perfection and leap between the two defending Keighley players, one of whom is Sam Hobbs, who's not the biggest. Richie Barnett probably could have done a little bit more there to try and get in his way to give himself a chance, but all the advantage to a smart kick, and he literally has to jump in between the two of them with the accuracy of the kick, doesn't he?
And presumably, Dave, there's an element of planning in that beforehand because they'll know that Hobbs is defending in that kind of area, so they'll direct the kick there because they know they've got a possible height advantage. Yeah,
well, that's it. They didn't kick really wide to the wing, you know, where the winger Barnett is very tall. They kicked at Hobbs where he was standing, but they had a lot of numbers, the Halifax side, on that side of the field, and you know, the Keighley side only had them two players there.
Just come to the side of the post, fellas. Thank you.
So Steve Tyra, having scored the try, has the chance to add the 2 to his 4. He's already kicked a couple of goals tonight. He puts this one over. He's got 10 points for himself so far this evening. So not a bad little return already in the game, and inevitably he misses, having given him that kind of a mathematical build-up. So it's 8 points to his name so far tonight. It's half the Halifax total, 16-6.
Well, they deserve this lead. On the back of a bit of ill-discipline, you have to say, Keith, you know, 3 penalties in the last 5 minutes has given Halifax and gifted them field position, really. And it's the one thing again, the poor coach is fulfilling his own prophecy.
Stanley Jones with a kick. Decent carry again, isn't it, by the big fella, Sambala. We mentioned in the Northern Rail final, Sambala came very close to signing for Hawkinson Rovers, and his coach here, Kel Harrison, said, give it another year here at least. I'll make you a really good player. And it's coming true, isn't it? Whether he'll be here next year or not, no. Has he signed again? Watch this space, I think. Little step here by Ashall. Penkovic on the field up at dummy half. So again, they've got that added experience, the added zip, moving in, and the offload starting to appear now.
I just think the 3 players that have come off the bench, Barlow, Tonks and Penkovic, have got a huge difference, haven't they?
Here's Penkovic with a kick, finding a bit of space again. It's going to bounce away.
20.
It'll be a tap back on the 20, but not far from being an excellent kick.
Surrender!
It's just a bit of do your best, isn't it, from Keighley at the moment? I don't think that there isn't much push on the ball carrier, a genuine push where they might accept the pass. So Halifax have been able to 3 and 4 out them defensively, which makes it really tough. If you're carrying the ball next there on a slow play the ball, it's a tough gig. You've got to be somebody of ginormous proportions like this fella to have half a chance.
Finishing third, of course, for Halifax means it's theoretically a lot harder to reach a grand final than having finished first or second. Here's Dimitri with a good carry forward. If they were to get through this tonight, they will have to play in every round of matches to actually make the grand final. The top 2, of course, Featherstone and Lee, get the week off this week. It's the 4 beneath them that have to do it the hard way, with a game every week after the end of a long season. A penalty here for Keighley. Jermaine Ray was complaining about being manhandled. That's the way that Jamie Lee saw it.
Tackle and rolling into acting half-back. Rolling away.
Let's see. I think he's claiming that Penkovic is... Oh, he dropped the ball, didn't he? He dropped the ball.
Played it very quickly, didn't he? But he claimed it was interference in it. Here comes Hobbs, away from dummy half. Now they have an opportunity. Demetriou again with that clever little play of his, the big dummy throw, or rather a subtle dummy throw, but he's held up over the line. They'll go back 10 and start again, but He still looks class, doesn't he, Jason Dimitri?
It's just his engine that creaks a little bit more. So well, you might have seen that 5 or 6 times a game. You might only see it 3 or 4 times a game.
Here's Keighley. Put down 5 yards out. March a dummy half, short and flat, and on it's taken. Well, the posts are rattling, but they haven't reached the line. Sharif back to his feet. March. A little show and a go. The ball flipped back on the inside. It's a little over elaborate, as it proves to be. Halifax back in possession.
Yeah, not the best end to a set there for Keighley. A little bit more patience and hand over the ball on their terms. They didn't.
And have you worked it out yet, as a coach who's been involved in the playoffs over the years? Which is the best way to do it? A game every week, or have a week off? Which is the best way?
Well, luckily I've done it both ways. If you've got the week off, you think it's the best way, because you're fresh, you're excited, and you can't wait for the next one. As we see another penalty here from Keighley. That's what they can't be affording to do, especially with the error on their line. And then if you've got to do it the other way, you sell it to your players, we'll do it this way, we'll be the best team every week, and when we get to the final, look how good they think we are, because we had to do it in every round. So a bit of psychology involved, I think.
They've played more games at this level than, or they will have played more games at this level than anyone else, won't they? By the end of the season, having been involved in the Northern Rail Cup.
The danger is you get a couple of players who are not quite on their game one night, and the intensity of play football, they do something that they wouldn't normally do, and with it being trapdoor football, you can't get it back. You haven't got next week to put it right. So that's the pressure if you've got to play every game, is that your form's got to be absolutely fabulous for every game.
It's Ashall. Penkovic away from dummy half again, looking to get some momentum back his side's way. Halifax leading as they do by 16 points to 6. It comes to Thackeray. Move left, and Keighley men getting in the way of it, making sure it couldn't get through, and Jody Sharif will bring it away. He's lost it, but the referee will say we'll go back to the first knock.
Both teams are giving each other a chance, aren't they? The quality of skills not quite there, you know, the handing over the ball at the wrong times and the wrong places. So all the playoff football we talk about have been really, let's get all this possession and let's choke the life out of the team in relation to possession. Both teams are giving each other a chance here.
Well, Carl Harrison, the Halifax coach, I don't have words to say to his side at half-time. Jason Dimitri on the pitch has already been issuing his statements. Unfortunately, from his point of view, from behind his own goal line a couple of times.
Well, he's been trying to impress the referee with his decisions and statements as well, hasn't he?
Here's Keighley. 16-6, that scoreline represents still a relatively tight game here. The next score, you would have thought, is going to be pretty important, because if Halifax do get the next try, then there is that danger of them beginning to move away with the game. But if Keighley can score next, then suddenly it really is match on, and Sharif with the drive.
5, move! Wait, go.
Here's Obst.
Give him 10, Benny.
Nothing kick.
Okay, now. Close him down. 1.
It's neither a kick to get the ball back,
Just there, left
kick
side,
to create pressure. Fine field house will have those every day of the week.
Here's Rettig.
2, move! Wait, go.
Taken forward
3
by Barlow. This time not making...
I think he copped one there as well.
Go.
He looks a bit hurt, doesn't he, Sam Barlow?
4.
I think Jermaine Ray went over the top and in old-fashioned parlance gave him one.
Drop back on the inside.
I've been impressed with Callum Case. He's done a lot of good work, hasn't he? I mean, he dropped that last ball, but...
Okay.
Oh, Richie Barnett, has he collected that cleanly? No, he's not. It did look suspiciously like a knock-on, a bit of a fumble. He was unlucky there because it was a really difficult bouncing ball.
I think there's a bit of confusion between him and the fullback. I think Moss goes for it and then bails out, but he should just drop on that and get his body between Thackeray and the ball. Puts his team under pressure here, and like you said, Halifax come up with a score now. It takes that element of anxiety away for them, doesn't it?
How important Keighley hold out here?
Oh, very. Look, this is the danger time. You know, you're 5 minutes before half-time and 5 minutes after, and look, you know, they need to hold them out. If Halifax go in with another 6 points or 4 points, it's going to make it a very, very difficult assignment in the second half, and you know, it's just something that they can't afford to do.
Is there a problem here with Tony Tonks? There's a bit of blood there, I think.
I think he's broken his nose, but knowing Tony Tonks, it won't be the first time in his career, and it certainly won't be the last. Been sent blood bin as well, which is obviously an interchange.
He's off down because there's such a little amount of time left in this first half. You can go and get patched up and change his shirt maybe. In the meantime, Halifax have a terrific position here, 10 metres out from this Keighley line. 6 tackles to have a go if they can keep hold of the ball. Ashall's dropped it. What a gift that was for Keighley.
Freebie, isn't it? Neither team are actually grasping the nettle and taking the opportunities they've been given for nothing. I'll tell you what, if Keighley can get down this end now and force a score, it's all on.
Go.
Both coaches are going to be pulling their hair out, aren't they? Jermaine Ray taking it on. Quick play the ball. That was smart and tidy work by March out of the back of dummy half, and on to Segar, who's put it down. In fact, he's got it away. Back to March. So they keep this on, rolling on. There's some good momentum building Keighley's way here. Step back on the inside by Lawton. Defenders across there. High tackle. Penalty from Keighley. And at one end, looking as though they were going to be conceding a try. At the other, they've got a real chance to score themselves here.
Well, they've got to convert. They really do, I think, in the scheme of things in this game. And that's a fair start to a set from Corkidas.
Corkidas drives it in with a real intent. He has planted his big frame 5 metres away. Now, what can his teammates do here to try and turn it into points? Sharif with a drive again. Dragged to the ground by 3 defenders. 2 gone, 4 to go. Really important set this. March to the left now. Step by Demetriou. Demetriou, the coach, saw the line, saw the glory, just hold up on him, and then he gets the ball away, and the try will be scored. March the scorer. Lee points with the arm. And that's exactly what Keighley needed. Well, mistake, penalty, and suddenly Paul March is in at the other end.
Now you're starting to sound like me and Dave. Penalty, error. You're the coach now, Woodsy. I'll tell you, you're so right, but the 3 experienced players, March, Corkidas, Demetriou, set this play up. That's March going on himself. He's ducked under Jim Gannon. Furious, the Halifax people furious at letting him in from there for nothing, but there's the offload, and Paul March has to do 1,000 times he's done that in his career. Never with a better result.
Wow. Boy, did they need that.
Oh, they certainly did. But, you know, they've really sparked up a bit since March has gone on the field. He's really given them that bit of a lift. But you have a look at that set from when Halifax turned the ball over, tackle 1. They really played the ball quick. They had some second phase, and that's what we spoke about early in the game. If they play like that, they can match it with anyone. It's when they're going one up, it's easy to defend. But playing like that, quick play of the balls, March jumping out. They've got some good ball players, Jermaine Ray. You got Obbs, you got, you know, the coach Demetriou, so they can do the job. They just need to believe in themselves and keep doing it.
Well, it's Demetriou that gets out the money ball, because there's 5 Halifax defenders there. Paul March, that's only has to beat 1, and it's Ashall that he ducks underneath.
I thought he should have passed. I thought he should have taken them, because every time he's got the ball, he stepped back on the inside, and I thought they were ready for it then with all the numbers around him, but it was a great offload, and March did the rest.
Well, Halifax could have put this game to bed. But a mistake on the very first play after a scrum, 15 metres away, handing the initiative to Keighley. They still had to take it though, didn't they? And boy, did they take it. And it's 16 points to 12. Suddenly, we've got a real game on our hands. The dying embers of this first half. Is there another one yet? Dying embers of the first half. The hooter sounding in the background a little prematurely. It matters not much. It is Keighley who have hauled themselves back into this game. The first to score after 8 minutes, but then Halifax putting on the muscle, Gannon and Esu, and then Steve Tyra going over. But Paul March's try just before the break is a real game maker. 16-12 at half-time. We're back after this.